Hi, it's me, and we're back with episode 10 of Marry My Husband. I hope everybody's been having a great week. I hope everybody's been enjoying the show as much as I have. I've found people to watch that are also enjoying it on YouTube, and it's just nice. I've been consuming all the content. I found somebody else who is doing the manga. I listened to that for a refresher. It was nice. It's been nice. I'm really enjoying the show, and I hope it continues on this fantastic ride. I mentioned on my community post for episode 9 that each week it's like a crescendo. Like it starts out low as far as the like in comparison to music. So it starts off slow and it like slowly builds up like a crescendo, and that's what I meant. But I was like, every time, and I'm never disappointed, and I just love it so much. I finally found out what Inho's Instagram is. I didn't expect it to be numbers, but somebody commented in a post. And let's get into this, okay? Episode 9, we ended with Jiwon slamming Minhwan in front of Inho, his mom, his dad, and random workers at the restaurant. Best scene. I think after this ends, maybe I'll do like the best scenes from the series when it ends, maybe. But anyways, so yeah, episode 9 ended that way. Episode 10, it starts out with Minhwan walking into the house and he's complaining, yelling, screaming about Jiwon. He's cursing Jiwon. Like, how could she do this to him? And his mom not having it. She's like, shut up. This is basically all your fault. I told you to meet girls with discipline. And he gets so pissed. He's like, Jiwon, you think you can do this to me? I'm going to put you in your place. I've been letting you slide. Hello? Who are you to say any? Let's talk about somebody sliding. You sliding in your dick, sliding in the suitman. I'm sorry. Am I going to get in trouble for that? I don't know. But anyways, he goes over to Jiwon's apartment and it shows him pounding on the door. But then it shows Jiwon opening her door to her apartment, but it's Hee-yeon and Ji-hyuk that she's greeting. Our girl finally got that new apartment. I don't know if you remember in later episodes after Hee-yeon got Jiwon the makeover, she created a little interior design book of how she could upgrade her, like make her apartment look better. But she said it would probably just be better if she just got a new apartment. The time has come. So she's got this new apartment. It's fantastic. Ji-hyuk comes in and he has like all the toilet paper, supplies, and detergent because that's customary in Korea when you go to a housewarming. Like, you know, people usually buy you things like actual items for your apartment. There, they buy like toilet paper or detergent, which is more practical, I think. And it's more practical. I think it's just more practical. But anywho, she's like, I don't know where he got the flowers from though. He brought flowers. And Jiwon's like, oh, I love flowers. And he like smirked, like he did a good job. And while Jiwon's putting books on her bookshelf, Hee-yeon comes over and she's like, hey, I heard you're going to be paying the rent to my brother. Don't do it. Like, he never checks his account anyways. This used to be my old place. And while she's saying that, Ji-hyuk's in the kitchen, like, putting stuff away because they're helping her unpack. I should mention, when she answered the door, she was wearing the same outfit that she wore to the dinner with Minhwan's parents. And Hee-yeon was like, what did I do? Are you going to punish me? Saying she looked like a dominatrix. While Hee-yeon is in Jiwon's bedroom helping fix up stuff in there, Jiwon's trying to put her books on the very top shelf and she can barely put them up there. And Ji-hyuk comes over and helps her put the books on the shelf. And she goes to put the next set of books up and he hurries up and helps her. And Hee-yeon comes out the bedroom and sees them, and the antennas are up. She is smelling the sparks. Okay. She just gives him a weird look and she's just like, whatever. And then it cuts to later that day and they're saying goodbye to Jiwon because they're all done helping her. Ji-hyuk says bye to Hee-won, but she just gets on the elevator with him and he looks at her and she's like, what? And she comes up to his apartment and she's like, first of all, I just want to tell you I'm very happy that you did not get married to that other girl, Yura. She was like, I don't like arranged marriages or marriages of convenience, as far as like two companies merging was basically the whole point. Nobody likes each other, knows each other, even loves each other. She's like, but what's going on? She's like, do you like Jiwon? And he's like, no, I think she's just a good person and I really appreciate that she takes care of you and she's fond of you. He goes in his room and he slams the door and she's like, hold up. And then he opens the door again and he's like, what? I don't like her. And she's like, okay, because she's getting married. He's like, exactly. I don't like her. And he closes the door. He's like, I don't like her like that. And he slams his bedroom door again. And Hee-won's like, he's never acted like that. So she doesn't believe him at all, but he leaves the apartment. Minhwan keeps pounding on the door and it opens and there's a new tenant at Jiwon's apartment. He's flabbergasted. He's like, what the fuck? Who are you? Where's my girlfriend? And this guy's like, what do you mean? He's like, this is my apartment. He's like, the old tenant was a female, but this is my place now. And Minhwan's like, oh, he's like, you like to work out, huh? He was like, oh, okay, well, you have a good day, and leaves. This dude is huge. He could have beat his ass. I wish he would have. I mean, why not? Give him another ass whooping for the day. And then the next day at work, Minhwan comes into work throwing his briefcase all around, making all this noise, huffing and puffing. And Jiwon's like, are you okay, Mr. Park? And right after that, Jiwon walks into the office, happy as pie. And then when Minhwan sees her, he gets up and walks towards her and she stops smiling. She power walks up to him and slaps him 3 times in a row. Every time he says so, she slapped him the first time. Everybody in the office is like, oh, did y'all just see that? And he's like, huh? He's in shock. She slaps him again. And he's like, what did I do? What are you doing? Smack. And this time he was about to put his hand up and, our boy Ji-hyuk came up and took his arm and twisted it behind his back. And he looked at Jiwon and he's like, that's enough. And he's like, hey, well, why didn't you stop her from hitting me? Because you deserved it. Duh. He's like, why did you do that for? And he was like, you should, what did he say? Oh, you should be fair to both of us. And Jiwon's like, you mean like how you are equal with sharing your love? And everybody in the office is like, oh, is he fucking cheating? And they're all just looking around shocked. And Jiwon comes up and she's like, hey, maybe we should go somewhere. And she's like, no. She was like, no, that's okay. She was like, I want to hear what this cheater has to say. And everybody's like, oh, he did cheat. And then she pulls out these red panties from out of her purse. And she was like, whose are these? I found them in your car. And he's like, and can't say anything. She takes them and puts them on his head. And everybody in the office is screaming. And they're like, oh my God, what the heck is going on? The gossip machine churning, okay? That's some hot goss, okay? And it does, when she said, where did these panties come from? It does do a flashback. And that's where Minhwan and Sumin went when she showed up at his apartment before the dinner. They wouldn't have had sex in his car. Jiwon takes off her engagement ring after she puts the panties on his head, and she throws her engagement ring. It hits the wall and shatters. Cheap. Okay? A ring would have scratched that, or a diamond would have scratched the wall up. Everyone in the office, off. They're off and running to go tell any and everybody about what's going on. So while all that's happening, and everybody's sending emails, sending Teams messages, telling each other in the hallway. Mr. Kim comes in acting like he's all great. He was like, the fantastic Mr. Kim is back. And everybody looks at him and goes back to talking and gossiping about what just happened. Min Hwan is out in one of the outside break areas, and he's like patting his cheek, trying to fix it because it's all swollen from those slaps. And he's wondering what he's going to do because he's busted. You can't fix this engagement now, buddy. You're not going to be getting married. And when he's out there, Suman shows up and she was like, those panties, those weren't mine. Because he was like, why can't you keep track of your things? She's like, those aren't my panties. And he's like, well, where did she get those from? And she's like, I don't know. And Jiwon, Juran, and Hee Yuan, they're all in the women's lounge. And the two women are consoling her about what happened. And In-ho calls and Jiwon answers and she's like, hey, I'm at work, but I'm doing okay because he's seen what happened at the dinner. And Jiran asks her, she was like, hey, do you know who it is? And it cuts to Min-hwan and Suman again. And they're trying to figure out how she found out. Min-hwan's like, well, they're not your panties, so I'm just going to go talk to her and tell her where she got them from. And Suman's like, but you still cheated. How are you going to fix that part of it? She was like, it's okay if you fell in love. If she would have been acting right, this never would have happened. And then it cuts to Ji-hyuk. He's like standing close by to hear what they're saying. And he's just like, disgusting. Ji-won sees Mr. Kim while she's going about the office and she greets him and walks away. And he tries to say some misogynistic shit. And he's like, that's why you got cheated on anyway. And one of the male employees like drags him off. He's like, hey, you don't need to get in any more trouble. And he takes him to the outside break area. And it cuts back to Suman and Min-hwan, and she has her hands on his face, and she's like, it's okay if you fell in love with somebody else. You just can't help yourself. She is like, I will marry you. And Min-hwan takes her hands off of him, right? And he's like, I don't know who you think you are. You're not marriage material. And I was like, damn, whoa, shit. Well, I mean, we already knew that. He already felt that way. He told her numerous times. Girl, every time you said something about him just being with you, it was a no-go. Jiwon was always a part of the deal. He never just wanted to be with you. And he said that. He was like, Jiwon's smart. She's self-sufficient. And she's good with her money. What are you? Just a pretty face. I'm not in my 20s anymore. Damn. Suman gets so pissed. She's like, what? And Mr. Kim overhears this and runs over and tries to fight Min-hwan. And he was like, don't treat Suman like that. Don't say that to Suman. Loud as hell. There are multiple people outside in this area. And the gossip machine then got more fuel to the fire. Now they have found out who he done cheated with, and it is going around the office. People are running up to people, and they're like, do you know who he cheated with? It was Suman. Mr. Kim, heartbroken, okay? He really thought him and Suman were going to get married and have kids. Suman gets embarrassed because she's about to head into the women's lounge when she hears somebody saying, yeah, Suman. She's been Jiwon's best friend since middle school. Can you believe it? I feel so bad for Jiwon. And then it cuts to Jiwon, and it's later in the day, and she's at home checking the like socials and blogs and stuff for work, and she sees how everybody is talking about Min-hwan and Suman and being cheaters and pieces of shit. Jiwon gets a call from Suman. She ignores it, of course. So Suman sends her this big long message saying, I hope you don't believe them. It's all lies. I would never do that to you. Okay, sure. And then Jiwon just relaxes on the couch, and it just seems like she's like happy that finally this part of the process is done. She's finally broken away from him. He can't find her anymore. And he can't do anything to her at work because he's pariah. Like, he's the social pariah right now. The both of them are. So they can't step foot to her. at work. She moved, so neither one of them know where she is. She's good. The next day at work, Juron and Jiwon, they're talking to another department at work. I'm not sure which part of it or if it's a different advertising marketing part of the company, but they're showing them this video, and in the video you can't see their products that they just released displayed. And Juron's like, where are our products at? They tested really well. And the guy like zoomed in several times and he's like, this is where they are. They were scattered and all messy on the shelves in this back corner. And they looked at the itinerary of who was in charge of it. Park Min-hwan, Ju Young, Sumin. Remember when they were trying to get it in that supply closet at the grocery store? Yeah, that day. Juron comes up to him and slams the report on the desk and says, how come it wasn't reported to us that there was an allergy incident? Do you know how bad this makes us look? Min-hwan, panicking, he was like, I mean, the employees just started the tasting. I had just stepped away for a second. And Juron's like, the both of you stepped away? Why? Jiwon chirps in, wasn't that Min-hwan and Sumin that were both in charge of it? Throwing more logs in the gossip fire because everybody's like, oh, they were doing it on company time. And Hee-yuan and Juron, they both whispered under their breaths, this bastard. Talking about Min-hwan. And Sumin tries to jump up and she's like, no, it wasn't like that. And then she tries to ask Jiwon for help. And Jiwon's like, first of all, bitch, you call me by my name. It's Miss Kang to you. And she just looks at Min-hwan after Sumin tries to get her to defend her. And she was like, Mr. Park, you compensating the employees or the customers the way you did was great, but you should have reported it to us. And more gossip to add to the fire. It cuts to Mr. Lee. Mr. Lee, you know, he's in charge of HR. He's talking to Min-hwan and he was like, so, do you know what I had to do? I had to filter the company email and messaging system of Mr. Park, Bermuda Park, because him, Sumin, and Jiwon, Bermuda Triangle, Park Min-hwan, and Panties Park. These are all his identifiers that they've been using as they gossip about him at work. And Min-hwan's like, oh, thank goodness. At least I'll be able to work in peace. And the guy's like, well, this is only going to be if you accept a transfer. And Min-hwan's like, what? I got a transfer? Am I going to a different department? Bitch, that is what a transfer means. Yes. And then they show Mr. Lee talking to Sumin and he lets her know, because of this incident, it's going to be hard for us to hire you on. You are a contractor, so today's going to be your last day. Fired. And it shows Sumin, she's in the women's lounge, and she's trying to call Jiwon again. Girl, leave her alone. This is all your own doing. Fix it yourself, okay? Jiwon ignores her, as she should, and then Sumin starts scrolling through the socials and company bulletin board, seeing everyone talking negatively about her, and she starts to spiral. She was like, who are these people? Who do they think they are to judge me? Starts to text Jiwon, and then she stops. She puts her phone down. She finds a notebook, and she starts writing. Side note, this lounge has a bed in it. And I was like, it's really nice. Like the whole lounge area is nice, but I'm not going to be sleeping at work. Okay. I am not down with that work-life balance. I'm not down with that. I am not sleeping at work. I know it's different society over there, but I'm just like, I couldn't do it. But if I grew up like that, obviously I would. But seeing that from where I come from, I'm like, hell no. I would only sleep at work if there was a snowstorm and I was stuck there. And I would still probably try to leave. I'll spin out in a ditch somewhere. But anyways, Mr. Lee has another meeting. This time it's with the Mr. Kim, and he's telling him he's getting demoted. And Juron, she's about to have his position, and he flips out. He was like, I can't I can't have her be my boss. And he's like, why is this happening? And Mr. Kim or Mr. Lee's like, well, first of all your peer evaluations, terrible. Plus all your blatant misogyny, this is all what caused it. Besides just his work input and everything's just trash. And then Mr. Kim has the nerve. I laughed, but I wanted to punch him in the face. He was like, what's misogyny? And Mr. Lee looks at him. You idiotic piece of trash. He's like, either you accept this or you're fired. And it cuts to him like cleaning out his desk. And he yells at Juron to come take his seat. And Jiwon looks at her and she's like, no, don't listen to him. But it looks like Juron's having stomach issues again. She's like holding her stomach and like doubled over at her seat. And it shows Juron in the supply closet where everybody goes. And she's just over there by herself. And Mr. Lee comes in and she runs out because it looks like he's about to smoke a cigarette. And she's like, no, you can't smoke in here. He was just getting a mint. And he asks her what she's doing there. And she's like, she likes to come here to have for the peace and quiet and to be alone when she needs to think. And he says, work is not for thinking. And I was like, first of all, I beg to differ, sir. Work is definitely for thinking, because if you don't have people that think, how is your company still standing? And Juron, she also disagrees. She was like, isn't that why you're here, Mr. Lee? Because you needed a place to think. And he says, know it all. I'm like, damn, mister. And it does a flashback and we find out why he said that. He says that because Juron said to him, she was like, you seem like you treat people coldly, even the ones that you love. And he says he doesn't like people that judge harshly, like how she just did. And that's what that whole scene was. And he asked her, he's like, what's wrong? Are you not happy you got promoted? And she tells him, she was like, I don't feel like I deserved it. She was like, this was all Jiwon's project. She planned, did everything. And she's like, I just want you to take that into consideration, because if a big chunk of my promotion is because of this proposal, I don't deserve it. And he mentions someone previously that got promoted off of her proposal. And he says that she's a pushover. And Juron says she actually likes people who judge harshly because they're usually right. And she says, yes, I am a pushover, and walks out. And he just looks at her. And it cuts to Juron and Jiwon sitting with each other. And she tells him everything that she told Mr. Lee. And Jiwon's like, no. She was like, I agree with Mr. Lee. You deserve to get promoted. We both worked on this proposal together. And she tells her, she's like, I'm really sorry when Mr. Kim was trying to push you off the project that I didn't push harder for you. And she was like, I just want to she's just like, you just made me realize that it's really fun to work with people who are really good and care about their job. And you're one of the best people. And Juwon tells her he feels the same way. And Hee-Yuan runs into the break room where they are. She's like, you might want to come downstairs. So all three of them go down to the lobby. The two people, the man and the woman that were in that allergy incident, they're in the lobby causing a scene. And the husband's like, where's Jiwon? I want to speak to her right now. How dare you say this about us, saying that we're just trying to get money? And Jiwon goes up to him and she like identifies herself. She's like, yes, I'm Kang Jiwon. And the wife slaps her. And everybody's like, oh, except for Mr. Kim. He's like, yeah, get her. Jiwon's like, what's going on? They're like, how could you write this post and say all this stuff about us? What kind of employee are you? Who do you think you are to be so blatant, to say all these things? And Jiwon's like, I'm sorry, can I see the post? And the husband gives her his phone. And Jiwon reads it. It's a letter. I'm going to read it. I'm going to pull it up right now. Hello. I'm Kang Ji-won, the person involved in the scandal at UNK. I'm trembling, so I'll put it simply. First, the triangle relationship is completely false. It's true that the man that I was about to marry fell for my friend. However, my friend didn't reciprocate his feelings. She's such an attractive woman, so I'm trying to accept it as unavoidable. And the incident at Jomart was a typical case where problematic consumers schemed to get freebies. They ate it without checking the ingredients. It can't happen to those with serious allergies. My friend is innocent. Sure. It pains me that she's blamed. Kang Ji-won. She signed it, Kang Ji-won. Ji-won is, while she's reading it, after she gets done reading it, she balls up her fist. She's so pissed, which am 100% behind her. Whatever you're feeling right now, girl, please let it all out. Please let it all out. And Ji-won lets them know that she didn't write it, but she knows who did. And Sumin's trying to sneak out of the building, and Ji-won turns around real quick, and she's like, Jae-young Sumin, stop! She turns around, goes, pushes her, and shoves her. She was like, you're gonna fix this time. And yanks her up and drags her over to them and pushes her, and she falls down on the ground. She grabs Sumin's purse and looks through her phone, and Sumin's like, Ji-won, what are you doing? And she was like, don't forget, I know about you. I know as much about you as you know about me. And she puts in the code to her phone, pulls up the social media site, pulls up the post, the original post, the account the post came from, and shows it to the couple. They look at it. They're like, why is this name different? And then they look at Sumin and they're like, oh, honey, this is the woman from the hospital. She was with that man, Mr. Park. Park Min-hwan is in the lobby as well while all this is happening, and he starts to like tuck his name tag into his blazer jacket so nobody could know that it's him. And Sumin apologizes, a whole bunch of bullshit, saying she's sorry, she's just been so emotional lately, she doesn't know what's wrong with her. The woman genuinely apologizes to Ji-won for slapping her, and Sumin has the nerve to grab Ji-won's hand and say, Ji-won, I'm so sorry. And she asks her if she can forgive her. She can't live without her. And then she's like, I'm so sorry. I've just been so emotional because I'm pregnant. Bombshell. This lobby is full of employees, and some of them are recording what is happening. So that rumor mill, it's about to explode. Okay, it is chugging at full capacity. And Min-hwan, when he hears that, he falls out. And it cuts to Min-hwan. He's at that restaurant where he took Sumin and Ji-won, and he's just sitting there drinking and laughing because he doesn't know what else to do. He's like, my life it's over. He's like, Ji-won, she went crazy. Sumin is out of her mind. And while he's sitting there, he's getting notifications from all the places he borrowed money. He borrowed money from 3 places, and all the money is due. They're like hitting him up with notifications saying, hey, these loans are due. And it shows him stumbling back home, and he runs into somebody and he falls out drunk, and he wakes up with no clothes on, tied to a chair out in the middle of nowhere. And there's 2 loan sharks. One of them has curly hair and that curly hair looks real familiar. And Min-hwan tries to get buck with them while he's tied up. He's like, who the fuck do you think you are? This is the Republic of Korea. And he was like, you thugs think you are. And the one guy's like, do I look like a thug? Do I look young? And the other guy's like, oh, yeah. And he's like, are you from such and such loan? And they're like, oh, no, we're not them. They like to cut. They like to cut off body parts. We don't do that. And the guy takes a hammer and starts to slam it on the arm of the chair that Min-hwan's in. And he's like freaking out. And he's like, no, I'll pay you your money. I'll pay you your money. He was like, I don't have it, but my parents have money. I'm getting married soon. I'll have the money for you. I promise. Sniveling and crying like a little bitch. And it shows Ji-hyuk. He's waiting by a barrel. And his 2 friends, Dong-suk and Shinwoo show up, and they ask, "Is that the guy? The one guy, Dong Suk?" He's like, "Is that the guy I delivered the chicken to?" Yeah, his two friends are the loan sharks, and they're like, "Well, we still got some stuff we need to clean up, but it should be good." And he's like, "You guys did a good job." And then it just shows Ji Hyuk saying, "Jiwon will be happy." I'm like, "Oh, you're threatening motherfuckers for your girl?" I don't oppose it. It shows Minhwan coming home, and he goes up to his mom and dad, who are just like eating some fruit and watching some show. And he goes to his mom again, and he's like, "Mom, are you going to buy me a house if I get married?" And she was like, "Why? You only bought me red pajamas. I only buy you a house if you have a grandchild." And he was like, "Don't you trust me? I'm your only son. Don't you love me?" And she kicks him out the house. She like beats him and kicks him out the house. He goes to the only place where somebody will probably love him, the Sumins. And he goes there, and she's like curled up in a corner in a ball. But he's like, "What's wrong with you?" I'm like, she's contemplating all of her shitty decisions right now. As should you. Y'all should both be in that corner together. But she just repeats what he says. She was like, you just said I'm a pretty face. So why are you here?" And he was like, "Why didn't you tell me you were pregnant?" And she says, "Would that have changed anything?" And he was like, "I was a bit harsh and I didn't mean it." And I was like, I'm pretty sure he did. If he 100% was getting married to Jiwon, he totally would have meant all of that. But, you know, he got to save himself. He's going to say whatever he needs to say. And Sumin's more upset that Jiwon's not talking to her. He's like, even though she's pregnant. And Minhwan's like, "Can you not read the room? Do you not see how sloppy this all is? You said it yourself. You're pregnant with my child. She likes me so much." Yeah. You still think she likes him so much. She's spiteful and she's fragile. She just can't take us being together. Cut to Jiwon cheersing with Juran and Hee-yuan at In-ho's restaurant, having a blast, okay? Food looks delicious. Spirits up, okay? Our girl's got no problems at all. And Jiran mentions, she's like, "Thank goodness you found out before you got married. Could you imagine?" And Hee-yuan is like, "I think the trash actually hates the trash can." She was like, Mr. Park's face, he looked disgusted when Sumin said she was pregnant. And Jiwon, to herself, she was like, "Sumin, what are you playing at?" She was like, "I'm pretty sure Minhwan has asuspermia," meaning like his sperm count is so low, he can't get anybody pregnant. I think what they said in the webtoon, usually when men ejaculate, it's 100 sperm. He had not even 1,000,000. I don't know what they'll say in upcoming episodes about it, but in the webtoon, that's how they explained it. So basically, he's like infertile. And Sumin is just it cuts back to Sumin being Delulu, and she's saying that Jiwon is always on her side. Why wasn't she on her side this time? She was like, she really thought when everybody was being mean to Sumin that Jiwon would jump in like she always used to, even if it didn't make any kind of sense, and take all of the fire from everybody. And Minhwan's like, "I think I have to be that person now." He was like, we gotta let Jiwon go. We gotta cut her out of our lives. Dude, stop, okay? She cut both of y'all out of her lives. Neither one of y'all know where she lives. She answers neither one of your phone calls. Let's not get it twisted. She already dropped the both of you idiots. And he says, should they get married? He thinks she's the one. And then he uses the exact same words that he used to Jiwon when he proposed to Sumin, word for word. He was like, "We can start over. We can be a family." And when Sumin hears family, perks up. He thought Jiwon was the one desperate for family. It's Sumin, because she is too excited when she hears that. Shows Mr. Lee telling Gramps, who were the real problem people at the company. Grandpa's like, "Oh, so it wasn't this King Ji-won woman. It was her fiance and her best friend. And he was like, I want to meet her. So it cuts to Mr. Lee bringing Ji-won to meet the grandpa, and he grills her. He asks her, like, you seem to have a lot of problematic people around you, basically. And she was like, not really. It was some people. It was kind of difficult, but I solved it. And he was like, do you think I'm a difficult person? She was like, I think you might be. And when he asked her that, I was like, try to get in between their relationship because you know your grandson has feelings for her and she's single now. So there's nothing in the way for him to pursue her. While that conversation is happening, Ji Hyuk is doing skeet shooting again. And the maid tells him, she was like, your grandpa's here, and he's talking to one of the employees. It doesn't show her saying who it is, but he's like, what? And she's like, yeah, you should go check. And he puts down his gun and runs to where they are. And he's like, grandpa. He was like, hey, calm down. You're going to startle my guest. It's Jiwon. And she just turns around and smiles at him. And he just looks at her, and it shows them walking off together. And he asks her, like, did he give you a hard time? She's like, no, he wasn't really as mean as I thought he was. She's like, I answered him honestly. And she said, maybe I shouldn't have said anything about the proposal, but I was upset. And the grandpa told her, it's not her fault for stepping in crap, meaning Minhwan and Sumin. You meet shitty people all the time. It shows Sumin at a cafe. Y'all, why is she posting that she needs a positive pregnancy test and sonogram? I know there's and surprisingly and scarily enough, there are websites that you can buy these things from. And I was so shocked. Like, I know some people will use them like as gag gifts, but then I'm like, there's people that could use them for nefarious stuff. I know there was a case that I listened to on, I think it was Rotten Mango on YouTube, where a girl went to one of those places and they have fake pregnancy bellies. And she used that for a while. But anywho, while she's doing that, she's whispering about, yeah, I'm going to have a family and a new start. Girl, which level of crazy are you on right now? Because I don't think it's gonna work out like you think it is. But as long as she's focused on something else and not our girl Ji-won, girl, go ahead. You get what you pay for. It shows Ji-hwan and Ji Hyuk. They're walking again around on the grounds of the property of his family. And he tells her, he was like, they're going to get married because Ji-won says, I hope that they get married. Ji Hyuk's like, no, they're getting married. He was like, Minhwan's in a mountain of debt. And if you said the only way that he can get out of it is by getting married, he's going to have to. If he's staying at the company, but he's getting demoted and he's getting a pay cut. He's not going to be able to afford to pay these off with how much he's going to be making. And Ji-won's like, well, how do you know that? How are you able to check all that? And he said that even though Ji-won thought that he never always did what was right, which is what she thought. It was just that his grandpa knew he never wanted anything. We all know what he wants, right? He wants to date Ji-won, marry Ji-won. He asks her if she wants to go shoot a gun, and she follows him. And while they're walking there, he's saying to himself, he's like, it's really hard for him to resist what he wants right now that there's like no barriers that are getting in the way. And he is like, while he's helping her stand properly and hold the gun properly, he says to her, there are many things I can do. What's changed this time is that I'm doing something that can help you too. And he says, hold tight and lean on me. And it has two meanings, because he's saying that as they're about to shoot the gun. And if you've ever shot a shotgun, there's a lot of recoil. And if it's your first time, you're not prepared. So he's telling her, hold tight onto the gun and lean on him for support. And he's saying that about the gun. and about what's going to be happening in the future. I'm like, here we go. Smooth. Like she said, he never says anything simple when they're at the retreat for work. And it shows Hee-yuan and Jiwon. They're at Jiwon's place and they're hanging out for Christmas and Jiwon's making food for them. And Hee-yuan is like, oh, this food is so, our girl loves food. She's like, oh, this food is so good. You're such a great cook. She's like, will you marry me? And Jiwon's like, I don't ever want to get married. And he wants like, no, why? You can't say that. You have to. You can't let those two get married and be happy together. Little does she know, if she's going to have the life Jiwon had, she will not be happy. Not with that family. Not with that man. And she asks her, like, what type of guy are you into? And when she says that, Jiwon thinks about Ji-hyuk when they were out skeet shooting. And then her phone rings and Hee-yuan goes over. She's like, oh, it's okay. I'll go get it. And she's like, oh, it's Inho. And Jiwon's like, no, tell him. She's like, don't answer it. I'll call him back later. Because she's like eating. And she's like, a handsome man calls you on Christmas. You have to answer it. And she answers her phone for her, puts him on speaker. And she asks him how he's doing. And he invites her out to go do something on Christmas. Inho comes to pick her up in the car. Our man does not have very good driving skills. Like, driving like he just learned how to drive. He admits that he hasn't driven since he took Ji-hyuk and Hee-yuan home. Ji-won's like, what do you mean? And Hee-yuan's like, oh, he gave me and my brother a ride back when he got drunk at his restaurant. And they're like, oh, yeah, he goes there all the time. He frequents that restaurant a lot. And Jiwon's like so confused. She's like, oh, okay. And Hee-yuan's like, it's okay. It's because he just likes really good food. And she's like, okay. Hee-yuan helps Jiwon get in the car. And then she's like, okay, I'm going to go. I got plans, and leaves. And Jiwon's like, what do you mean? Where are you going? She's like, no, I got to go. Basically, she set them up on a date. And it cuts to Hee-yuan. She's at her brother's place and she's sad. She's like, oh, it's Christmas and I don't have any plans. And then she mentions how good Jiwon and Inho look. And it shows Ji-hyuk behind her sitting at the dining room table eating a gallon of ice cream. Pouting. He looks so sad. And she's like, why are you pouting for? You're the one who told me to have them get closer. Ji-hyuk's like, well, is he a decent guy? Hee-yuan's like, yeah, he's a little boring, but he's handsome and he's stable. And best of all, he has love pouring out of his eyes. And I'm like, you're right, he does. But also your brother does too. And while he's eating the ice cream, Hee-yuan's like, give me some. And he like gets up after she says he has love pouring out of his eyes. And he goes over to the counter and she's looking at him like, what are you doing over there? He comes back he cut the gallon of ice cream in half. In half, okay? And gives the half to Yuan. And she's like, how am I going to eat this? And then he stabs a spoon into the ice cream and she's like, and Yuan is like, this dude's losing it. And he was like, Jiwon deserves to meet a decent guy. She's like, I think she dreams of having a Christmas with a family at home. And it gives Ji-hyuk an idea. And it shows Jiwon and Inho. And they're at the skating rink having a good time. And he goes up to her and he's like, hey, do you want me to get you something warm to drink? And she's like, sure. And while Jiwon's waiting, she's like, is this how I'm going to be able to live my life now? If those two get married, like actually worry about herself and not worry about people like trying to destroy her life for no reason other than that they're crappy people. She sees a father and daughter skating. And when she looks at them, she thinks that it's Ji-hyuk. And she's like, wait. But when they come back around, she sees it's not them. And then she just imagines her and Ji-hyuk at the skating rink having a good time. And then she like stops smiling for a second because she like, I think it dawns on her. She's like, oh my God, I have feelings for him. And then Inho drops Jiwon off at her apartment and he tells her he has to go because their restaurant actually gets really busy on Christmas. And she's like, no, that's okay. She's like, you go to work. You have to do what you need to. And he said that he had a really great time and he was happy that he was able to cheer her up even just a little bit. And he was like, next time. And Jiwon's like, hold up. She didn't say hold up, but she was like, she tells him, she's like, I'm really happy that I got to meet you and you're a great friend. And she thanks him. She lets him down nicely. And like a real gentleman, he accepts it. Isn't that crazy? They shake hands. And while he's walking back to his car, he says to himself, I guess my line in the novel wasn't wrong, meaning that he's supposed to be in it for longer, or he's supposed to have a more prominent role in the novel, recalling like back when Ji-hyuk got drunk at his restaurant and he kept saying that Ji-won's name, her name in his novel was wrong. And then it shows Ji-won, she's going back into the apartment and she hears sneezing and she looks. It's Ji-hyuk. And she was like, oh, Mr. Yu. And he makes an excuse. He's like, yeah, I was just out for some air. And she was like, it seems like you got a lot of air. And she asks if she can speak to him. And she's like, do you want to go to my place or your place? And he takes her to his apartment. And when they go inside, he has it decorated so nice for Christmas. He's got a tree and presents and stuff over the fireplace. It looks really nice. And Jiwon just smiles and she was like, what would you have done if I didn't ask to speak? And he was like, I would have brought it up. Jiwon tells him, she's like, I went on a date with Inho, my first love, but I had to tell him that it's not going to go anywhere and we're just going to be friends. And Ji-hyuk's like, oh, I heard it. He's like, I overheard it. He's like, I was actually there for a long time. Hence why she said, it seems like you got a lot of air. He was like, but why? He's a really great, nice person. And she's like, Ji-won's like, he is a really sweet and good person, but it's because I have feelings for someone else. And she admits that she lied to him when they were at the workshop. And she said that could she be honest with him? And she just wanted to talk when she said that to him. And when she was with Inho all day today, she was thinking about somebody else the whole time. And she was like, it's somebody who I thought I knew, but I don't know very well, but I want to. And he's somebody who knows me very well. And she gets up on her tippy toes and gives him a kiss. And then she tries to leave. And he grabs her by her arm. And then they kiss for real. Oh my gosh, I loved it. The build up, it was fantastic. I watched it. I rewound it several times. It was so sweet. But yes, that's how the episode ended. I'm so excited for next week. Okay, so this episode, the slap, Minhwan getting those slaps, felt so good. I loved it. Sumin getting dragged and thrown on the ground to fess up to her mess she created. Chef's kiss. I'm just upset that she wiggled out of it by saying she was pregnant because the customers, I don't think I mentioned it. They decided not to press charges when they found out she was pregnant. I loved seeing Sumin get fired. I loved hearing Minhwan and Mr. Kim got demoted. I loved hearing Juran got promoted. I still need her to go get her stomach checked out because I feel like she might have thought it was from guilt about surrounding the whole project, but I don't think it's that. Mr. Lee, I think he's liked Juran for quite some time. I think he's liked her since Jeju Island, and he just doesn't want to admit it. Yuan, always a mood. I freaking love her. I love her calling her brother out and letting him know, like, bruh, I know you have feelings for her. You can tell me. Just say it, okay? She's a wonderful woman. I'm not going to say that you don't deserve her. I mean, I probably will, but you're probably the best person she could probably date. I'm happy that Inho took his L like a man. That makes me like him even more. Minhwan, he's the real. I mentioned last time, like, I thought that people were more about self-preservation, and that is him. The way he spinned that whole marriage thing to Sumin and she fell for it, hook, line, and sinker, like, damn, this man, he will try to wiggle his way out of anything. Sumin, I hope she gets busted. Not like, as far as these upcoming episodes, I hope she gets busted and it's found out that she is not pregnant and she lied. I hope they get married first, though. Let them get married to each other. I hope Ji-won shows up at the wedding in the same outfit from the webtoon. She wore white with red. And I'm like, ooh, those are two colors you do not want to wear to a wedding. And she did it. And I hope she does it this time, too. That necklace they keep showing that Ji-hyuk has, I feel like it's in those presents that he had wrapped up around his tree. I hope Juran does get the promotion. I want to see Mr. Kim get put in his place. I want to see a proper date between Ji-won and Ji-hyuk. I think it'll be so sweet and romantic. I like living vicariously through the characters because my ass is not dating. Have you been out here? Have you seen the dating pool? It's scary. Fashions. Ji-won, her outfit she wore when she came into work and she slapped Minhwan. That outfit was really nice. The outfit she wore when she went ice skating, adorable. Hee-yuan had a cute outfit on when she went to go help Ji-won move into her apartment. Juran had on a nice outfit when she was in that supply closet when she ran into Mr. Lee. Sumin's outfit when she got embarrassed in front of everybody, her outfit was amazing. Like that dress with the shirt, I really like it. That combo for that is really great. It's similar to the one that Ji-won wore previously when she went out to and spoke to Inho about that letter that he kept from the past. Mr. Lee, he looked good too when he was in the supply closet. I'm really appreciating how the other support characters, now that they're starting to become part of more prominent in the story, we're getting to see more outfits from them instead of them like being more blending into the background. The scene from this episode, the scene with Ji-won and Ji-hyuk when he asked her if she wanted to go shoot, that whole scene, that was hot. That was hot, okay? That kiss, also hot. Bravo. Park Min-young has kissed several of the leading men that I would also like to kiss, and that's why she's my favorite, because I'm like, girl, yes. She has fantastic chemistry with all of them. Kissing scenes, magnifique. Did I say the chemistry? Chemistry is always off the charts. This one was no different. That kiss, yes. I think that's it for this video. I thank you so much for watching. Again, I hope you are enjoying the show as much as I did. What was your favorite part from this episode? Please let me know down in the comments. If you do like my channel, please don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. And I will see you in episode 11. And have a good one. Bye.